How to steal a high school state basketball championship. I'll give you the ending in the beginning. Clear Lake defeats Ball High 90-89 in overtime, then goes on to win the 24-5A state championship. However, you may notice Clear Lake shot 55 free throws, making 45 of them, while Ball High was a mere 6 for 11. How could one team shoot so many free throws when not one was intentional? Ball High committed a lot of fouls. Maybe Ball High had subpar athletes, with 2 left shoes. How else do a team commit so many fouls? Let's take a look at one half of the Ball High roster. Here's 6 of the 12 players that led Ball High to its first undefeated district season ever in the history of the school. Freddie Burke was the unanimous district MVP, which kind of put him in a class of his own. Fred later went on to team up with Sam Cassell at San Jac. Carlos Irving ran third leg on the 4x1, which had the second fastest time in the state. He was an all-state linebacker and an all-district point guard. Later, at Oklahoma State, he switched positions and became the biggest cornerback in the Big 8, at 220 pounds, and caught 2 interceptions in the 1992 Orange Bowl. Anthony Phillips was a shutdown cornerback before the term was invented. An All-American in college, he won a gold medal in the 100 meters, clocking a time of 10.04. He also ran the anchor leg that clocked a time of 39.36. Phillips also had punt returns of 99 and 88 yards his junior year. Later he was drafted in the 3rd round by the Atlanta Falcons, where he had to fill the shoes of Deion Primetime Sanders. Linko Harden was a man-child, dunking with 2 hands as early as the 7th grade. A real basketball player that fell in love with football later. A sophomore at the time of the crime, the Clear Lake game, Linko was already a force to be reckoned with on the basketball court. Later he was drafted in the 4th round by the Dallas Cowboys. Patrick Bates was the most decorated of them all. Pat was a McDonald's All-American, a state long jump champion, and the highest recruited safety in Texas. He signed with UCLA, then transferred to Texas A&M, where he was inducted into their Hall of Fame. Patrick was a first-round draft pick of the LA Raiders. Roy Smith, also known as Bay Bay, was a different kind of creature. Roy could guard and play every position on the basketball court. Roy could guard a 5'5" point guard, or a 6'8" center, and he openly took on such challenges. On the football as a junior, Roy played wide receiver, however, he'd play 3 downs on offense, go to the sideline, switch shoes, punt the ball, and then played defensive end for 4 downs. This was on a team with 4 other players that would soon go to the NFL. So, as an opposing coach, how do you deal with this type of athleticism, even being the most winning coach in Texas history? Ball High is just going to run, and run, and run. They have the district MVP with 5 legitimate track stars, who are also football stars, that are legitimate, square business basketball players, who all probably have a 40-inch vertical or better. And a bench that's just itching to get in. The morning of the game, Galveston Daily newspaper headlines read, "No speed limits for Ball High." A strange headline for a basketball game, but apparently everyone knew. Ball High's reputation had been growing rapidly. If you could read the newspaper article, by no means did Clear Lake deem themselves the favorites. The coach sounds like he doesn't know how he's gonna get out of this game alive. Strategically, maybe Clear Lake would try to slow the game down. However, Ball High didn't put it past Clear Lake to stall the ball from the opening quarter. They've done it in the past. Just seconds before the game, as both teams are warming up, Roy Smith chased down a basketball that rolled towards Clear Lake's end of the floor. A Lake player was kind enough to stop the ball and toss it back. Roy looked at the 6'10" center vying for his attention. Roy said, "Hey, big boy." When Lake's center turned and looked Roy's way, Roy said, "I'm a dunk on you." Not 2.5 minutes into the game and Ball High gets a steal off the press, and Clear Lake's center is under the rim. Carlos took off, jumped, cocked the ball backwards to Mississippi, and put Big Boy on a poster. The entire gym went absolutely nuts. Seemed the thunder of the bleachers could be heard for blocks outside the gym. The refs had to stop the game just to quiet the crowd. Once Carlos brought the house down, the whistles caught the hiccups. They were calling offensive fouls, hairpin fouls, phantom fouls, and legitimate fouls. But they were all against Ball High. within the first 4 minutes of the game ball was in the penalty, and it was no secret the players were trying to cause contact, blatantly. Ball High spent the entire second quarter in the penalty, and 3 minutes into the third quarter, Ball High was back in the penalty, and Clear Lake's free throw attempts are piling up. Still, Clear Lake had a problem because they could not stop Ball High offensively. Thus, the game proceeded as such: free throws for Clear Lake, a bucket for Ball High. Free throws for Clear Lake, a bucket for Ball High. Free throws for Clear Lake, a bucket for Ball High. The lead never exceeded 5 points either way, the entire game. However, Ball High had a major problem because the refs were not allowing Ball High to get any running momentum. The game is at a chopped and screwed pace. Pun intended. Let's get down to the good part. It's the fourth quarter, with only 5 seconds remaining. Clear Lake is winning by 1 point, and they're at the free throw line again. Ball High has to go the length of the floor, with no timeouts left. Clear Lake makes the first free throw, now they're winning by 2. When Clear Lake made the second free throw, Terry Fields, Ball High's starting quarterback, snatched the ball out of the net and rolled right like Patrick Mahomes. At the same time, from the bottom blocks Fred Burke and Roy Smith flew down the sidelines. Terry Fields dropped back and with perfect timing hit Fred Burke just past half court. The clock's winding down. 4, 3, 2. Fred took a dribble and pulled up just inside half court and the 5-second line. Bucket. The score is tied at 82 and the roof's about to come off the gym. In overtime it was the same soup, warmed over. Clear Lake shot free throw numbers 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, and 53. However, despite all the goodwill, fortune, and charity bestowed upon Clear Lake, Ball High took the lead by 1, with the ball, and 14 seconds remaining. After the timeout, Ball High gets a clean inbounds pass, and the clock is under 10 seconds and counting. Clear Lake is desperately trying to steal the ball, unsuccessfully. Now they're trying to foul a Ball High player. But they didn't have to. Adam Daniels took a wide open, uncontested, terrible shot with 6 seconds remaining. With all 10 players desperately trying to scrap for the rebound, the whistle blew again. The referee called an over-the-back foul, with 2 seconds remaining, sending Clear Lake to the free throw line to shoot free throw number 54 and 55. That was only the first round of the 1989 high school basketball playoffs. The next few rounds Clear Lake won every single game by double digits. Even the state championship, which Clear Lake won by 17 points. However, on the bus, leaving the gym, we spotted one of the referees in the parking lot about to get in his car. He removed his whistle from around his neck, and then pulled his referee's shirt over his head, removing it too. Maybe it was my imagination, could have been tears blurring my vision. But I could have sworn the referee wore a Clear Lake jersey under his striped shirt. I cannot answer the question if the game was fair, because my opinion would be bias. Hell, is life fair? However, I could be wrong, but I'd bet my kidneys blindly that you'll never see these 4 things ever again in your life. Number 1, 55 free throws attempted in a high school game by one team. Number 2, 45 free throws made in a high school game, by one team. Number 3, a high school game where the winning team has the same amount of free throws made as actual points scored. And number 4, a more athletic basketball team than the 1989 Ball High Tours. I'm not talking about in Galveston County. No, I'm talking about in the history of the world ever, since the beginning of its foundation. It wouldn't matter if you went and got LeBron's high school team. They just couldn't win, on paper. That game was decades ago. However, today, we're trying to restore the feeling. We have the children. Now we need the village. Island Impact is trying to raise $300,000 to build a practice facility. Donations of $100 or more will receive the board game never seen before, called Ballopoly. It's a rendition of the traditional Monopoly game, based around the history of Galveston and Galveston sports history, because Galveston and Ball High has produced more NFL players than any other high school in Texas history. If you attended any school in Galveston County, could you please donate $10 to the movement? Thank you for your ear. And thank you even more, in advance, for your donation.